Java record. Did you know that Java has the concept of record? Probably from a specific Java version. In a way, let's see in this article. This article is taken from the website of Jenkov, which is a brilliant, all-encompassing, great resource, one of the best to learn about Java. A Java record is a special kind of Java class which has a concise syntax for defining immutable, data-only classes. So with this, we are going to define immutable data-only classes without Lombok, without anything. Java records inherently bundled in Java. Java record instances can be useful for holding records returned from database queries. Records are returned from a remote service call, not only for database. For database queries, for records returned from a service call, records returned from a CSV file or similar type of use cases. Java records consist of one or more data fields which correspond to member variables in a regular Java class. The Java compiler auto-generates getter methods, toString, hashcode, and equals. This begins to remind of the data Lombok. I think this is mutable, and there is another one which is immutable. I think value maybe. Value in Lombok is immutable. So it generates the hashcode, the equal method for these data fields, so you don't have to write that boilerplate code yourself. Since a Java record is immutable, no setter methods are generated. Java record type is a preview feature in Java 14, so it was only a preview feature in Java 14. I wonder if it's still there today. So we don't know yet if records will remain in Java for the long term. Give them a try and see what you think, because Java records is a preview feature in Java 14. You need to enable preview features to play with them. Do an online search to learn how. Java record video tutorial. There is a video tutorial here. Java record syntax. The Java record syntax is quite simple. Here is an example of Java modeling a vehicle. Public record vehicle. So instead of class, instead of interface, we use the keyword record. So this is the standard for record. We use the keyword record. We define the name of the record and then basically the fields of the record. Here we didn't define anything. By the way, I did a search on the meanwhile while we were talking, and it was in preview in Java 14 and then got into release in Java 16. So it is in release as of today, depending on which Java version to use, but from 16 it's in release. Notice how the example uses the record instead of class. Yeah, we said we use the record instead of class. The record keyword is what tells Java compiler that this type definition is a record. Notice also how the record defined in the example has no explicit Java field definition. The record is defined solely by what looks like a regular Java constructor. That constructor is actually enough to define a Java record. So with one line, extremely useful. This is why I like also Java. It's becoming more and more state-of-the-art language, taking good features, not crazy features. I mean, this line is super readable. This line is super readable. At least this one, yeah. And they take the features that are needed into the language, but they are still readable. They still make sense. So it's growing over the years. The constructor is actually enough to define the Java record. The two parameters defined in the record constructor tells the Java compiler that the record type has two fields. One field per parameter in the constructor, the Java compiler then generates the corresponding fields, getter methods, and a hash code and equal methods. Yeah, like a Lombok value. Using a Java record. You use a Java record just like you use other Java classes by creating instances of the record type using Java new keyword. Here is an example of using the Java record type vehicle defined in the previous section. So we see public class records example, public static void main, vehicle. Then the key thing is that we just do new vehicle and pass to it the arguments to the record. So this is the record. We are doing standard new, just like it's a record. Then we print. Note that we didn't define these getters, but we get them like properties. Note also that we don't get a get brand or get license plate. It's just the name of the field, brand, license plate with brackets. And we also get the toString. Notice how Java compiler has generated the brand method, a license plate method, and the toString method for us. The output printed from the above example would be Mercedes, UX, license plate, and this would be a very good representation of the toString, a human readable representation of the toString, which actually prints the properties. A record is final. A record type definition is final, meaning you cannot create subclasses or subrecords of a Java record type. Yeah, I think this is also a good decision. This is also very good out of Java to encompass this separation. Well, once you begin with subclasses, you get this total coupling. It's good when it's really needed, but for record, I wouldn't bother. It would only get people to get complex with it. Someone will use it when it doesn't need to, and you don't want that. Multiple constructors. It's possible for a Java record type definition to contain multiple constructors. Here is a Java record example that defines an extra constructor for the vehicle record type shown earlier. So what would it do with the other parameters? They are going to be null. But it will allow you to create a vehicle without the license plate. Less common maybe, but available. We said it's immutable, so we wouldn't be able to change it later. So it's going to be always null once we initialized it with null. The extra constructor is declared inside the body of the vehicle record declaration. Notice how the extra constructor calls the default constructor of the vehicle record. This is required by the Java compiler, so the compiler knows what constructor parameters in the extra constructor matches what parameters in the default constructor. You can add as many extra constructors as makes sense for your concrete Java record definition. Instance methods. You can add instance methods to the Java record definition, just like you can with regular Java class. Here is an example of the vehicle Java record definition from earlier sections with an instance method named brand as lowercase. Okay, so what we see here is that in addition to having the record only define properties, I would call them, we can also add additional methods that do some operation on the properties, like make them lowercase. And you see that we access the properties with a getter, with the property getter without the get. Okay. Notice how the brand as lowercase method calls the auto-generated brand method internally. Record looks like a very good useful data object. Static methods. It also possible to add static methods to a Java record definition. Here is an example of a previous vehicle Java record definition with a static method added. Public record vehicle, we have the standard vehicle, and then we have a static method, receives a vehicle, and does whatever it wants with it. Note that maybe because it's already inside the vehicle, then it can access the brand without the brackets. So it's like a private member, and although it's static, it can access it. The other brand, the other vehicle, because this is some other vehicle object. Because it's static. It is not aware which vehicle object it receives. So basically, static methods, you can do what you want and return as long as you don't change the input vehicle, of course. So that was it. This was a great summary blog post article by Jacob Jenkov, and he has really great tutorials to learn SEO, right? To learn more about Java. So this was Java Record, which was added as a preview in Java 14 and added as a release in Java 16.